Adventure across the myriad faces of Faerun with warriors like Mirt the Moneylender and Alusair the Steel Regent, and with wizards like Elminster the Sage of Shadowdale and his three charges, Dove, Storm, and Laeral, as they roam the realms protecting the innocent from villainy, the ignorant from deception, and the insane from themselves. Hello and welcome to Liam's Lyceum. I am your host Liam, aka Hemvar, and today I'll be doing a spoiler-free review of The Best of the Realms 2 by Ed Greenwood. The Realms 2 Stories of Ed Greenwood is a collection of Forgotten Realms short stories by the creator of the Forgotten Realms, Ed Greenwood. If you have not read Ed Greenwood, this might be a decent place to start, as you know, starting with short fiction is very low commitment, of course. And so this also has 3 short stories in it that had not been published before this, and I guess the rest had been, though I read them all here for the first time. So I just want to kind of go over the stories that are in this anthology real quick so you can get an idea of maybe like a story you would like to read. There are 15, so I'm just going to go quickly through these. But I will say that overall, I was a big fan of this, but I'm a huge fan of Ed Greenwood, so yeah, I should probably just leave it at that. So let's see, we have number 1. It's not the most successful of Feast, and it's actually a prologue to Elminster, The Making of a Mage, which is a novel I have done a review for. It follows Mirjal Darkeyes, an infamous sorceress in the Delambir Vale, as there is a feast at a castle with visiting dignitaries of the dwarves of Amarindar and the elves of Siluvanede. I don't know how to say it. We don't see Elminster, but he would have been around 12 at the time, as he was at the start of The Making of the Mage. This is a great Greenwood tale with a twist at the end that perfectly frames the first Elminster book, so maybe a good prequel to reading The Making of a Mage. And then we have Dark Talon's Forbear. Seems to take place after the temptation of Elminster. It starts with a worshipper, or specifically a priestess of the goddess of lost, Shar, calling out in tears to her matron. She's told by her goddess to go and kill Dove, Storm, and Laeral, who are teenagers at this point and in the care of Elminster. The story is fast-paced and bloody like many of Greenwood's sword and sorcery style tales. It's also very heartfelt and almost made me cry, but I'm a baby. And actually, having just read The Temptation of Elminster, since I read this a few months ago, I will actually say that this is actually probably a really good story to read right after reading The Temptation of Elminster, which is the 3rd Elminster novel. Also works as a standalone though, and I read it before I read the novel, so it obviously works fine there too. Story 3 was The Whispering Crown and takes place in 902 DR in the small kingdom of Dusk Lake, which seems to be part of the present-day Eastern Am. Young Queen Arendelle must defend her kingdom against King Ramast and the neighboring Thentins, who seek to invade and enslave the Duskins. When all seems futile, a magical object seems to provide salvation from her enemies, but the item may be more costly than it's worth. Story 4 is So High a Price. It takes place in 1334 DR and is about Manshoon's move to put the Zentrum in control of Zental Keep. It's a politicking story full of treachery and death, but it ends on a sweet note that Greenwood is really good at again. Story 5, One Comes Unheralded. Deserta actually did a whole video on this story. This is the first Forgotten Realms story. It was written in 1967 by 7-year-old Ed Greenwood, which is crazy. That's 7 years before D&D was created. Zerta itself is not really a place in modern realms. It apparently was on the south side of the Chianthar River, right across from Scornubel. The story features 6 famous realms figures: Mirt the Moneylender, Durnan, Elminster, and 2 of the 7 sisters. Oh, and I'm totally forgetting the other one, but I think it's the Queen of Cormyr, actually. It's set in the year 1339. But this is a cool one to see, as you can definitely see Elminster's sword and sorcery inspirations. Mirt is not exactly sword and sorcery, but someone like Durnan is very much Conan. And apparently I found out on Twitter recently there were several other Forgotten Realms stories that were published, I don't know how or where, before the creation of D&D, since someone was basically saying that Forgotten Realms didn't become a setting until 87, and which is somewhat correct. Ed Greenwood is basically setting the record straight of the creation of the Forgotten Realms and the stories published in it. I think it was in context of it being older than Dragonlance. Which is correct. It is actually several years older than Dragonlance, considerably older than Dragonlance. But it's had a very interesting history, to say the least. Anyways, the next story is very short. It's actually called A Dance in the Storm's Garden. It's set in 1354. We have a silly story told in the present tense rather than the past, and we see Elminster and one of the Seven Sisters and another mage. I actually was reading this one. I was in the middle of reading this one. I talked to Ed Greenwood a couple months ago, which is up on the channel as well. And then story 7 is A Slow Day in Skullport, Mirt and Durnan. Again, he's a thinking man's Conan, as Greenwood would put it. He's also mixed with John Falstaff and Glencannon. John Falstaff and Glencannon make Mirt. Anyways, Skullport, it's 1357 DR during the same time as Spellfire. It's a romp. It's very sword and sorcery if you see Waterdeep as Lankmar and a Beholder as an Eldritch sorceress evil. Asper, Mirt's wife, who I don't think I've read a story about before, is actually in this story as well. Story 8 is Bloodbound. It is set during the time of Hand of Fire, which I believe is the third of the Chandril Saga books. It's about red wizards of Thay, specifically an apprentice to a red wizard, Storm Silverhand, and the bard who is the bard of Shadowdale, makes an appearance in this one, as well as the god Azoth. This is the longest tale, but not by much. Story 9, How Wisdom Came to the Maimed Wizard. Apparently it coded a Chandril Saga, and specifically a villain from Crown of Fire, Yurhan the Maimed. It was good. And then there's 10, The Eye of the Dragon, a story about a young woman learning magic as she grows up in Waterdeep, as she encounters Blackstaff and Elminster. We have 11, which is Nothing But Trouble. Mirt is in Waterdeep. Originally in Dragon Magazine, this is very short and cute. We have the Grinning Ghost of Taverton Hall, a character from some Cormier novels and other stories. And we have 13, The Place Where Guards Snore at Their Post. It is set in Mintarn with a whole new cast of Realms characters about a young man coming into magical powers, which is cool. And then there is Sauhugan. I feel like I'm saying that wrong right now. They're from the Threat from the Sea Time, I believe, which is another series I've not read actually. I really found this one cute. Again, I think Greenwood's just good at that. I liked it. And then there's Living Forever in the Ruins of Midranor. It's written as mood piece for the ruins, written in first person. Seems to be a spirit of sorts living off of the mythal and around the time of Bebbis's Ruins of Midranor book, I believe, came out. Carrie Bebbis, that is. I think that's how you say her name. The last one is The Long Road Home. It is very short and set during Alisair's reign in Cormier. Anyways, that, my friends, is all I have to say about The Best of the Realms 2 by Ed Greenwood. It's some fun stories. Check it out if you are interested, I suppose. Liam with Liam's Lyceum. I'll catch you next time.